there, enthusiasts. Welcome back to Hero Talk. I'm your host, Judge Greg. Joining me today, I have Jeff, host of the Point Street podcast. Jeff, how you doing?
Hello, good evening.
And Axelon, who you've probably known from some of his many YouTube videos and several playthroughs and posts on enthusiasts.com. Axelon, welcome back to Hero Talk.
Good to be here.
All right, so today is going to be a very special edition of Hero Talk, and not the very special edition in that we're going to cover alcoholism or bulimia, but very special in that we're not discussing a movie per se. We're actually going to discuss some recent movie news that just came out recently, and it's not very often that the news comes out in such a convenient way that it coincides with an episode of Hero Talk, but it happened. It was big news, so I decided, hey, we're going to cover it on Hero Talk instead of a movie. So we are going to be discussing the news of Spider-Man being Sony Pictures rights for all the movies. Spider-Man's going to be coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the rest of the folk. And I should probably point out, because now more than ever, you should note that Hero Talk is a spoiler podcast. So we are going to be talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel comic books. If you haven't seen any of them yet, this should probably be your point to turn this podcast off, because everything, honestly, at this point, everything, even stuff that's not out yet, is considered fair game. So you've been warned. All right, so guys, have you heard that
we've heard
Spider-Man?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, I think to not have heard, you must have been not on the internet for the last 2 days.
That's accurate, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's been all over the place. No, I mean, I get it. It's a big deal. These movies make like $30 bajillion, but holy cow, that's all everybody's been talking about. Now, I mean, it's huge news because nobody thought this would happen. Especially when Sony was trying so hard to sort of build their own Spidey universe.
Yeah.
So I was talking with Nick, who's a regular on Hero Talk, and I guess his initial reaction was like, so I guess this really shows just how disappointed Sony's been with their Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, they've seen diminishing returns with each film.
I mean, honestly, now here's the thing. This is what's so sad, is I really like Spider-Man as a character. I mean, I do. I really do. And he's one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. But the cinematic movies, and I'm even including Tobey Maguire in this one, those movies have been so painful to watch that I just lost interest. And I haven't even seen Amazing Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 2. I had no draw to see it because I just felt like I was going to see another disappointing interpretation of Spider-Man again.
Yeah. I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2. I heard it said that, and this was partly in jest, but I heard it said that he spends a significant portion of Amazing Spider-Man 2 in tears. So I was like,
That's
maybe this one isn't for me.
Exaggeration. I'll go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Spider-Man being tears the entire movie is like saying Superman destroys Metropolis and Man of Steel. You know, it's not really.
It's only like 75% true.
That together with the fact that I wasn't particularly impressed by the first Amazing Spider-Man, and I was just like, I think I'll pass on that.
All right. So, hey, enthusiasts, we have a late addition to the podcast here. Brian is joining us now. Brian, have you heard the news?
Oh, of course I've heard the news.
Yeah, so we were just lamenting about how much we didn't actually like the Amazing Spider-Man series. I don't know if I really can count on that because I never saw them, but I think if you can't even get my interest to go into the theater and watch them, that counts as me not being interested.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you like them? I know you saw at least the first one, right?
I've seen both of them, and the first one was, to me was just kind of meh. You know, there was so much that was just, for lack of a better word, weird. It was like, you know, why did you do this? Why did you do this? I don't understand why. You know, what are you trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
And then the second one, the costume got better, the action got better, but there was still just so much wrong.
Yeah, and I did not like the costume in the first movie, now that you bring that up.
No.
It seemed phallic.
No one liked it.
This wasn't just me, right? Like,
yeah.
I would say it was phallic, but it was kind of off.
Sorry,
I've heard it said that it's difficult or impossible to do Spider-Man, but like a suit that looks good. But remember, people said that about Batman, and they pulled off that costume quite well in the movies, and that's become part of that's actually influenced the comics. So I don't buy that they can't pull off a way of doing the costume in a way that doesn't make it look like a disco jumpsuit. But you know,
like, wait, are we talking about Spider-Man still?
Spider-Man, yeah. I think they can pull it off. It's just I don't think they've got there yet in either the Maguire version or the or the other.
I mean, the one in Amazing 2 I think looks awesome.
Yeah, the one in Amazing 2 is really, really nice. I like the one from Maguire's.
Also not bad. Yeah, also pretty good.
Yeah, I do think Andrew Garfield's second one is the best. His first one is the worst.
Yeah. I just maybe don't like Andrew Garfield.
Well, and here's the problem. Like, I don't know if it's Andrew Garfield himself or the writing, because Andrew Garfield, like, one of the reasons he's he's rumored to not be coming back is that he disagrees with the way Sony's doing it. And one way that I've heard it described is Spider-Man meets Twilight. Like, they're trying to make Peter Parker like Edward Cullen.
Yeah. See, that doesn't appeal to me in the slightest bit. And I've seen Twilight.
Having not seen Twilight or read Twilight, what does that mean exactly, Edward Cullen?
It means he's a brooding stalker.
Emo, basically. Super emo.
Yeah. Like here's the problem. Peter Parker is not cool. He's not supposed to be cool. You know, like as painful as it was to watch, the dancing around in Spider-Man 3 had a purpose. It was supposed to be awkward. It was supposed to make you want him to stop. Like, you're not supposed to be cheering him on while he does it. Like, that was never the intention. Yeah. But no,
I
like
think
this
they succeeded.
Yeah, well, yeah, and again, that was the point. This new, like, Andrew Garfield's is cool. He's already, like, standing up to the bullies.
Wait, what?
And that kind of
thing. No.
Yeah.
Now listen, I'm not that guy. If anybody who listens to Hero Talk, is I'm not that guy who's like, the real Spider-Man doesn't do this, because I don't like that, because Spider-Man's fictional and he can make him do whatever he wants. But if he's already standing up to bullies, then he's not, like, part of the character, part of what makes him compelling is the idea that he suddenly developed this power and was able to shrug off the rules until Uncle Ben dies. And that's when he kind of figures things out in life. And so if he's already kind of standing up to bullies, then it seems like you've jumped a little bit.
Yeah, like maybe 15 minutes into the first movie, he's telling, I think it was Flash Thompson, who's like, you know, kind of bullying this one kid. He's already telling him, stop. Like, what? No, he's supposed to be the guy who's quiet. He's supposed to be the one getting his face shoved into the lunch.
I agree, but I guess Garfield's not coming though. I mean, that's confirmed. That's not just rumor. Have we?
I haven't seen anything confirmed. Like, I looked at Marvel's website, like Marvel's official announcement. They didn't say anything about Garfield.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me is I hear so much about Garfield's not coming, but I'm at Marvel.com and they.
I think Marvel are not in a position to say one way or the other.
Should I be on Sony.com?
No, well, maybe, but yeah, they're all they're going to be able to announce is what was confirmed in the deal, and it's probably up to Sony to decide who they're gonna, push for. But yeah, I've heard the same rumors, and I'm not sorry to see him go because I think they need a reset. I think
really,
it's nice that
you think they need another reboot?
No. I mean, in terms of the actor and possibly the personality, and to get the personality towards where we were just talking about. You know, like get him back to. I mean, the wisecracking thing they got right. Although I don't like Andrew Garfield's version of wisecracking. That was kind of missing from the Maguire version, I think. But
yes, it was.
I think him being too much of a scientist, too little of a journalist, and too cool versus not awkward enough is the wrong Peter Parker.
Yeah, like here's the thing, Tobey Maguire makes a great Peter Parker, but a bad Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Andrew Garfield makes a great Spider-Man, but a bad Peter Parker. It's really, I guess it's just really hard to find an actor.
So it seems like we've got our answer there. Is that when he's Peter Parker, it's Tobey Maguire, and then when he's Spider-Man, it's Andrew Garfield.
That's the both worlds. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. Or just make it a CGI Spider-Man. I guess I don't know. Worked with the Hulk.
Yeah.
They can get away with just changing the actor because they've done it before.
Yeah.
They just dropped Edward Norton.
Yeah, Rhodey's different, Bruce Banner's different, so
Yeah.
Peter Parker can be different. Now, somebody brought this up, and I'm not so much on this guy's page in terms of just saying it's very important that the next Spider-Man isn't white. Now, I'm not going to say he shouldn't be white because that's important, but somebody did at least recommend, there's Miles Morales running around if you want to bring a Spider-Man around who's not just the same guy we've seen over the last few years. And, I mean, that is something to be said, that there is another Spider-Man who's out there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you even want Miles Morales?
Look,
I don't know almost anything about Miles Morales, so I can't really say.
Yeah, I think I could care less what race they decide to make the person. No matter what they decide to do, they'll get criticized. You can't win.
Yeah.
However, to the extent that in comic books, both the superhero and the superhero's alter ego have name recognition, there's no way they won't use Peter Parker. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just it's too linked to the public's perception of Spider-Man. You're going to get people in the seats who go, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I agree. That would be like having Batman show up and it's like, wait, it's not Bruce Wayne? Who is this imposter?
I'm Joe Smith.
Or Jean-Paul LaValle.
Yeah.
Gonna flex my Batman muscle here.
My take on it is I don't mind using I know nothing about Miles Morales, but from what I hear, he's the only good part of the Ultimate Universe.
He's the only part of the Ultimate Universe still left. Actually, I know that much about him.
Oh, wow.
The entire Ultimate Universe is dead besides him, pretty much.
Well, it's all about to die. So
yeah.
But
all of Marvel's about to die.
So, but I think what they need to do there is right now, if they're gonna just keep going with the canon they've got right now, then they need to stick with Peter Parker. As bad as this sounds, I think because of the history, I think it needs to stay a white guy. If it was a reboot, I would say, yeah, okay, pick whatever race you want. But considering this is already kind of set in stone, they need to stick with that. When it comes time for that actor to retire, then you bring in Miles Morales.
Yeah, do a reboot or assign the identity to a new character, to a new alter ego. Yeah.
Or bring in Spider-Man 2099. All right, I'm just throwing it out there.
I would love to see that.
I would watch that movie, quite frankly.
That's another Hispanic guy.
He is.
That's right. Yeah,
no, that's true. I got so confused because when I heard in the comics that Spider-Man's going to be Hispanic. Because that's what they said. I didn't get the 100% of the story right, and I'll admit that. But my first thought was, oh, so Spider-Man 2099 is going to be the Spider-Man now, and I got so excited. And then Miles Morales. No, that's not good news. Because I love Spider-Man 2099, and so I got
Miguel something.
Yeah, Miguel something. Yeah. The real question though is, in the year 2099, will it be Peter Parker, or will they actually stick to their guns and go with Spider-Man 2099?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other option I would be very open to. You guys know who Donald Glover is?
Yeah. Now, wasn't he before Amazing Spider-Man? Now he's from Community for people who don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, he had basically said hey, I'd love to play Spider-Man. And I know that kicked off a media frenzy of people going is Donald Glover going to be Spider-Man? When all he said was, I'd like to play Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There are photoshops of him in the suit, and it looks pretty good.
I mean, the thing is one of the appeals of the character of Spider-Man is that he could be anybody underneath that suit. So the idea that it would be Donald Glover doesn't bother me in the slightest bit, because you can still have Peter Parker. He can still be the dork who gets the powers and does his thing and be the guy in the suit. And honestly, as Spider-Man, look identical to how he's how people have envisioned him for years and years and years. And plus,
he's got the body for it.
Yeah, and then Donald Glover, and this is the most important part, is hilarious.
Yes.
And so I actually kind of wanted to see that, and it did cross my mind a little bit, maybe it's time to give Donald Glover a call, Sony and Marvel. Be
actually,
hey.
You know what? You look at his character in Community. He can pull off that awkward.
I know. I mean, it's an awesome idea. It's not the same as just saying, hey, let's switch him up and make him someone different. It's coming to me and saying, hey, let's make Donald Glover Peter Parker, and I'm all for that. But I mean, what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to just see the next Edward Cullen stand-in guy come in and take this part.
Oh
yeah,
because
that is a risk.
Yeah, because that's what happens when they say they're going to get a new actor. I'm like, all right, so we got like a 50-50 shot at this.
Though, Donald Glover is technically already playing Spider-Man.
Did I miss it? What's going on with that?
He's voicing Miles Morales in the cartoon.
Oh.
There's a Miles Morales in the cartoon?
No, it's the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon that's on Disney
version.
XD.
Yeah.
And
I
they're
thought
using
Peter Parker was there in that.
No, I think you're probably thinking of Spectacular Spider-Man.
So many Spider-Man shows.
I got to be honest with you, I'm not a
I don't
big
know.
Disney XD watcher. I'm more of a Disney Junior guy. Has he been on Sophia the First? Because I'd be more familiar with that. Maybe a Doc McStuffins character at some point in time. No.
No, but there's yeah. So I don't know if it's like the only Spider-Man in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, but I know Donald Glover is voicing Miles Morales in that.
No. Well, that makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah.
But now, one
yeah.
thing I want to kind of address here, because as the rumor mill has been swirling, is and I've heard this from more than one location, and given that we have nothing to go on and we're just recording reactions, I'm just going to consider rumor to be truth until I'm proven otherwise for the sake of this podcast. But they say, like, all right, so Spider-Man's going to kind of get his new movie that's going to be mixed in with this universe. But they say, like, the Sinister Six and Venom are still happening. How is that going to work?
Yeah.
First, how do you do Venom without Spider-Man? Like, isn't that kind of clutch?
Well, from what I understand, Marvel is co-producing the movies with Sony, but Sony still owns the character. So they're still making their own Spider-Man movies, just with Marvel's input now.
But with
it's yeah. Well, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Sony will listen to Marvel. Like Sony still has final say on the creative control, but I would hope they're looking at all the success that Marvel has had and how they're kind of fumbling in the dark with this. I would hope they would listen to Marvel when they say, look, you need to do this, you need to do this, whatever. And there are so many problems with the Spider-Man universe. I want them to just drop. They had this like conspiracy thing going where basically every bad guy in Spider-Man's world comes from Oscorp.
Yeah.
Really?
That is such lazy writing. It's like there's a sequence where like this shadowy guy in a hat is walking through the Oscorp labs, and you see Dr. Octopus's arms, you see Vulture's wings. They give the Rhino suit to the Rhino. Like, why?
Wasn't Paul Giamatti the Rhino?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
is that as horrible as it seems?
Yes, it is, and not because of Paul Giamatti, because of the way the character was presented.
Paul Giamatti is supremely talented, but he just doesn't say Rhino to me.
His kind of introduction was not bad, but like at the end, spoiler warning, they give him the Rhino suit, which the way the Rhino was created in the first place was he went through, I think, experiments or something like that. He was given kind of like Juggernaut style powers, and then he just put on a Rhino suit just because. In this thing, like the Rhino armor, it's like a battle suit.
Yeah, it looked like a mech suit, sort of.
It has missiles and guns.
So it doesn't just smash into things.
To be fair, the villains with that whole Oscorp thing might actually be based on the Ultimate version of the villains, which I just did a quick Google search on Dr. Octopus, the Ultimate version, and apparently he does work for Oscorp in the comics, and it is funded by Oscorp. Same with the Rhino, so maybe that's where that was all coming from.
Ultimate Green Goblin was just kind of, he was like a big green, almost Hulk-like character.
Huh.
Yeah, like he didn't have a flying board. Like he was like a big green Hulk, and he could just throw fireballs. Like he could create fireballs in his hands and throw them, and he was not very much unlike the more traditional one. Be proud of me, because not a lot of modern Marvel comics I've read, but Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1 was one of them.
Yeah.
So
so here's what they did. They made Harry the Green Goblin, and it's
no.
He
No.
looks like a goblin because he was like sick, and then he injected himself with like the spider stuff that gave Spider-Man his powers. And it just deformed him even more.
What?
And now
Stop! No,
I'm
no.
literally coughing at my drink.
I'm out.
That's ridiculous.
I'm out. All right, I'm done.
Oh no, the absolute worst part.
Oh, the worst we haven't heard yet.
You know who Chris Cooper is, the actor?
Yes.
They cast him to play Norman Osborn.
What?
What?
He supposedly died.
What?
No. Actually, no. According to like the canon, even a deleted scene, he died. That is such a waste of talent right there.
Wait.
He would have made a great Goblin,
What?
and they killed him.
All right, yeah. So no wonder Sony needs Marvel's help, huh?
I know.
That's the actor they're cutting out.
Yeah, that makes. Oh,
You know,
man.
at this point, Sony should just make a road movie where the Sandman and Rhino go and taste wine in Northern California together. I think that'd be a great hit.
I would watch that movie if you could somehow get Sandra Oh in it.
Oh.
And you know what's weird about all this? How badly Sony has fumbled this talk. They still managed to make between the Maguire and the current version almost $4 billion
Yeah.
Wow.
being inept.
Imagine if they were good.
They weren't all bad.
What killed the first round was Sony micromanaging Spider-Man 3 because
Yeah.
Sam Raimi wasn't ready to use Venom.
No.
There were a few other things that they told him to use, and he wasn't quite ready for it yet. But it was like, okay, whatever. If this is what if I have to do this to stay in the seat, then okay, I'll do it. And the fans were like, no thanks.
Yeah. Well, the problem with doing Venom, and this is where they really got it wrong in the first set, is so you need to first introduce Eddie Brock as a character. He needs to be in Spider-Man as just Eddie Brock so that we can see him and he's there and this is the guy. Then you need a whole movie just about him getting the black suit. And that's the movie. He gets the black suit. Doesn't go to Venom yet. Then you need a whole movie about, hey, turns out this black suit's really super bad for me. And then he gives it to Eddie Brock, a character who's already been established, we've had 2 movies now to establish that he doesn't like Spider-Man or Peter Parker. Then you get rid of the suit in the first act of that movie, and then you have 2 acts where the suit and Venom are with Eddie Brock, and there you go, and that's how you do Venom. And what that whole ordeal I just described of you introduce Venom, you introduce the suit, then you swap them out, they did that all in one movie, in Spider-Man 3. In fact, they did that all in basically the second act of Spider-Man 3.
And all while he's fighting the Sandman, who he thinks killed his father.
He thinks killed his father, but then as it turns out, he was just trying to help his...
I'm sorry, Uncle Ben.
Fatherly figure, close enough.
Fatherly figure, yeah. But then Venom... This is what I really don't get. So right at the very end of the movie, he's like, sorry, I needed the money for my little girl. And then Spider-Man's like, oh, that's cool, man.
Well, I mean, he can't really stop Sandman. He has nothing. What can he do? You might as well just let him go.
I think the big thing was, I think the big thing with that moment was like, it's like, hey, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it, but, the guy you did kill pushed me and killed him. And, I don't know. It was kind of a touching moment already. Harry had just died. Was he? Yeah, but you remember? Anyone ever watched the Spider-Man show on Fox back in the early '90s?
I in fact not only have I watched it, but in the last year I have maybe it might have been a little more than a year because I don't think I had a daughter yet. But I have recently rewatched all of those. So within the last 2 years, I have seen every single one of them.
So many inner monologues in that show. So
yeah,
yeah.
It's
what
someone is always talking.
What Sony crammed into, one act of a movie, these guys had stretched over 5 episodes. Like, this was a 5-part running thing in that show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Venom was at the height of his popularity in the 90s. He was a big deal.
Yeah, man, everybody was all about Venom in the 90s. I can tell you that.
Here's the thing. They didn't rush it back then. It was, hey, if we're going to throw this guy in here, let's do it right. Sony didn't do that. It was like, hurry up and do Venom. Come on.
Yeah.
If Sony had made Spider-Man 4 with Maguire, they would have made Chris Tucker Carnage in the 4th one. They would have just gone completely off the cliff.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess here's a good question though, and just to try to get us off of Topher Grace Venom because nobody wants to imagine that anymore. So now that you have this amazing Spider-Man universe, which I'm assuming is going to be sort of the main. You don't want to have to reintroduce this character, so you want to at least point to someone who's still like that guy.
Again, yeah.
You don't want to play a DC Comics, which is like, hey, you know that guy we've been making movies about for the last 6 years? Not that guy, different one.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them doing that. They're not going to pull a Ben Affleck here, but what I guess I'm hearing that he's going to be introduced in Civil War, which is the
That's the
Captain
rumor.
America movie, which wasn't that supposed to be the intro of Black Panther anyway? Like, how busy
Was
is
it?
that movie getting?
Well, here's how I understand it. What I've heard, like, well, first of all, like T'Challa will be introduced in Avengers 2.
Okay.
Like he won't be
Oh,
Black
Avengers
Panther
2.
yet, but he'll be there. So I think what they were going to do, if Marvel's plan, if they couldn't get Spider-Man back in time, they were going to use Black Panther as the like. Not really catalyst, but like the hero everyone's trying to get like on their side.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in Civil War was like, you know, like everyone was trying to get Spider-Man onto their side.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the
and
few
Spider-Man-
comics I've also read too, so that's
Yeah.
I'm actually
I
very
actually have
proud
a-
of myself for being knowledgeable of what happens during Civil War.
And I have an article up on that very series. Go ahead and read that.
That's on enthusiasts.com.
Right.
I just
Plug
hope the
the
movie is
site.
better than the series.
Yeah.
So the idea was like if they couldn't get Spider-Man for that to fill that role, it was going to be Black Panther, and that was going to be the big introduction there.
Okay. So, I mean, I think Black Panther kind of serves better to sort of be in his own movie. I would hope first.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been really hungry for a Black Panther movie for a long time now, not the least of which me, because I like Black Panther because, and I know there's been some arguments about this and saying this is going to undoubtedly cause some nerd rage somewhere on the interwebs. But
Oh boy,
for
here we
me,
go.
I actually consider Black Panther to be the closest thing to a Batman analog on the Avengers. And I know everyone out there is saying, like, no, it's Captain America, but you're wrong. It's Black Panther. Because Black
Actually, to
Panther...
me, it's Tony Stark, but
Yeah, see? All right, here we go. There it is. Yeah.
What? It's clearly Captain America. What are you talking about?
Yeah, see, no, but that's who I've always sort of associated as, because like rich guy uses his money in order to kind of develop his skills, and he's got his own thing going on, but he's always helping out because you know he's more worried about T'Challa and Wakanda, I should say. T'Challa is his name. He's more worried
Yeah.
about Wakanda, so he's only kind of joining every now and then, and he's got his own thing going on, and he's also the Nocturnal, sticks to the shadows, uses his his reflexes and uses his mind because he doesn't have the powers, but he does have the vibranium, and so I kind of looked at him as being sort of the more Batman equivalent in the Avengers.
that's a good point.
Yeah. So, and I love Batman, and so when I kind of think about like the Avengers, I'm like, you got to bring in Black Panther because that's Batman, and I feel like he can hold his own movie, and then let's bring him onto the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a character that I mean, if they can give Guardians of the Galaxy a go.
Yeah. Once Guardians of the Galaxy became a hit, basically there's no
no-
comic book
there's no
franchise that
ex-
has an excuse anymore.
There's no excuse.
Yeah,
I don't ever want to
And-
hear ever again, we don't think we could make Wonder Woman work. I'm like, I just watched a movie about a tree and a raccoon. And you
Oh,
know
yeah.
what? I cared about that tree and raccoon.
Well, they are making a Wonder Woman, so there's that.
Are they actually making a Wonder Woman, or is she just
Yes,
going to play
it's-
second
Yes,
fiddle?
yes.
It's
Actually
it's been-
making a movie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Thought
been
they
it's
just
been officially
shoehorned her
announced
in.
she's getting a solo.
Oh.
Huh.
Well, I mean that's. I
But
saw
here's
Gal
the thing.
Gadot in the suit, so I'm okay with it. But yeah.
Here's the thing: they never really like formally announced it until until after they announced she was going to be in Dawn of Justice, and I don't even think they officially announced it until after Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Yeah. When the excuses ran out.
Yeah.
We don't
No,
really
there
think
is-
we could make it work, really, because seriously, the Tree Raccoon movie just made all the money that's in the world.
I know, right?
Yeah, when it was announced, like Fox and Sony and Marvel and Warner Bros. For some reason, all at the same time, they decided to try to one up each other. So that's when they released like their entire superhero movie schedule, like pretty much all like day in day out, like for like the past like over a week or so. And suddenly, like the internet was flooded with fanboys, fainting. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like 40 superhero movies.
This might be a rookie question, but how important are the Fantastic Four to the Civil War storyline?
Moderately, I guess.
Somewhat.
I mean, the
That's
X-Men had
important as
absolutely
Iron
nothing to do
Man.
with it, so you at least you don't
Yeah,
lose
yeah.
anything there. But
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
say that the Fantastic for were they were on the same side as Iron Man in this, weren't they?
Well, no,
Okay.
they split up. Like some of them sided
Yeah.
with Tony Stark, some of them
Yeah.
went against him, and Reed Richards built like this super extra dimensional prison for superheroes who
Yep.
rebelled. It was weird. He became
He did a
So,
lot
like
so
Hitler
basically,
and-
it's addition by subtraction by not having the Fantastic Four there. Is
yeah.
what we're trying to say. Which
you
this
really-
is this is a blessing.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, their story was very much affected by the Civil War, but they were not integral to the
Yeah.
Civil War.
The Civil War was very much a story that focused a lot around Captain America, Iron Man, and Spider-Man.
Everything Reed Richards did, Hank Pym could very well do on his own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that answers that. So they're not. So the fact that they're not there isn't going to mean that they're going to struggle to fill out that story.
No,
make
yeah.
it
Like,
work for them.
it's exactly like Brian said. If you have a Hank Pym, which you're going to have, then congratulations. You just with that one character, you have filled in all the gaps of Civil
Yeah.
War that the Fantastic Four left.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, I think it was really only Reed who stayed with Iron Man. I know Susan and Johnny left. I'm pretty sure Ben did, but
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Ben, he just left the country. He said he wasn't going to deal with either side.
Oh,
He went to like
right.
France or something on vacation. He's like, fuck it.
But yeah, the X-Men were conscientious objectors. They were like, no, we are staying the hell out of this.
Yeah. Weren't they in space?
Nope.
They were not. They were under house arrest, basically. They had sentinels watching them 24/7 because the government was kind of dictatorial about it.
Yeah, this was just after the whole House of M incident.
Oh,
where,
yeah, that's right.
yeah.
That's another
For,
mess.
for those who don't know, what basically happened was Scarlet Witch went crazy and reversed kind of
Again.
yeah.
Again.
She went super insane and kind of reversed reality into a world where the mutants were the ones in power and the humans were the ones being hunted.
Yeah. She completely
and-
shook up the status quo until everything was quietly retconned away later.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the series, but yeah, and there was a lot of fallout to it. But yeah, like after that, at that point, it was like the humans kind of locked up the X-Men.
Yeah. I mean,
And
again,
even when
that's
they're-
probably for the best, too, because the X-Men series has their own thing going on, and the last thing we need is having Hugh Jackman pop into these movies and kind of make it more complicated than it really needs to be.
Well, plus,
Disagree.
like, the thing that always bugged me about the X-Men was that in a world where the Fantastic Four are celebrities that people love, but the X-Men everyone hates because
Yeah.
of mutants. I'm like, they both have superpowers.
Yeah, no, there's definitely
Well-
the big question mark there is like, so how are, like, why is Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and the Hulk even like heroes, but then Beast is a monster? Like the same world that loves
Because-
Hulk hates Beast.
Because
Racism.
The X-Men because the X-Men are a sign that that the human race is on its way out. They are the next step in evolution.
I would think the next step in evolution would be like another eye or something, but
Brian sounds like Magneto over there with his pro-mutant agenda.
yeah. Oh, well, excuse me there, Mein Führer.
Yeah. No, I have noticed that myself. How there's a bit of an inconsistency between how one is perceived and one isn't.
I mean, you have Hank Pym over here. Or in the comics, he invents Ultron. He's still a hero, but Wolverine. Oh God, we hate him. He's a mutant.
Yeah, it's definitely inconsistent. Now I guess I'm gonna just wonder, like, there was a lot of other characters, like there was a lot of weird things going on, I should say, with the characters in this, and like one of the things I distinctly remember is that the actual Thor was gone, and Civil War had who is referred to now as Clor.
Yeah, clone Thor.
Yeah, so I mean, we obviously have regular Thor now, so I mean, I don't know what's going to affect that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like the whole Clone War thing?
Yeah,
In
I
the
mean, I
movies?
guess because I mean, now that Thor's around, like this was a guy who was basically a non-factor because Tony Stark made a clone of him, and now
Hey, so I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, that's better.
all right. Yeah, we lost
Well,
Brian
yeah.
for a little bit there, folks. We tried to cover for him. That's why we started talking about Clor. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's a big question mark because I assume you're trying to follow the regular story as close as feasible. I mean, you only got 2 hours to do it in, but Thor was
2
a big.
hours
He
is a
wasn't
lot to
really
cram
involved,
Civil
and he's
War
got to
into.
be in this, right? You got to have Thor.
Not necessarily, because they're hinting. This is all rumors, so take it with a grain of salt. They're hinting that Thor maybe just not be present at all because he's doing his Ragnarok movie.
Oh, well, maybe.
So he might be dealing with like Asgardian demons or whatever instead of being on Earth.
Yeah, so that's true, I guess. I mean, as long as
Well, I
you
think
have the
what
big
happened-
three, you know what I mean? Like, I think you're good.
Really, I think all
Are we
you
talking
need
about
is
Civil War still?
Yeah,
or-
Civil War.
kind of, yeah. And really, all you need is
Okay.
Captain America and
Well-
Iron Man. You have the basic core of a Civil War movie. Just have them fight each other.
And Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man,
Well, yeah.
he's useful, but he's not necessary.
Well, first of all, don't ever say that about the Iron Spider-Man suit.
I'm not,
'Cause
I like the Iron
It
Spider-Man.
is it is
Awesome.
necessary, and if I don't see it, I will sit there in the theater and watch quietly and respectfully. I'm not actually going to do anything. I think maybe that's what the real important thing that everybody wants to know is now that we know he's coming, and now that we're fairly convinced he's going to play that pivotal role in Civil War, are we going to see Iron Spider-Man?
It's possible. I could see him offering the suit because in the comics, like he and Peter had this. They've over time built up this friendly relationship, over time. But because in the movies he's going to be like this brand new character to the universe, unless they either like retcon it in that him and Tony Stark have been buddies for a while,
I'd love that.
Yeah, or
Or
accelerate the relationship
Yeah.
somehow.
or B,
movie
like
time.
he makes the suit to bribe him to join his side.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I can make you this awesome, Stark Tech suit.
I think
for
they should
you.
just try to make it like they've been friends. Like, I think he just shows up and they're like, "Oh, hey, Spider-Man, my very good friend. Of course, you remember Pepper Potts." Yeah, just lost her name for a second there. You remember Pepper Potts? Oh, yes, Pepper Potts. We're good friends. Oh, remember that dinner we had those couple years ago? Yes. How are you doing since those things
Yeah,
in New
I-
York?
I-
Very good.
It's a shame you missed out on defending against the aliens in New York, but hey, what's
Yeah.
You were
what's
out
the
of
favorite
town
between
that
friends?
week.
Yeah, I was at band camp.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't there to help stop Electro, sorry.
Yeah, sorry I didn't help with Electro. That's no big deal. That's always been the biggest issue now that you've like introduced this world where the Avengers are there. It's like, okay, so the president got kidnapped, and you're telling me
Yes,
Captain America
oh
didn't get
my
a phone
God.
call?
Yeah, that's been my biggest problem with Marvel's movies. It's like, where are the other superheroes? Like, this is like post-Avengers now. Come on.
Yeah.
The president's been kidnapped. Where's Captain America?
Yeah, and also
Well,
like,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I guess Tony Stark should have called on Captain America, but like why everyone else wasn't calling him, because nobody knew. It happened in the space of I'm pretty sure an afternoon. And only Tony knew about it.
well, come on, Shield has to be all over that stuff. They hadn't fallen apart yet.
Here's a scary possibility. Might they try and do some sort of mirror world, alternate, like other universes type crap with this? Is it possible that they could try and do something like that and say
It's too
throw them
soon.
together artificially? I mean,
That's too soon and too contrived.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hoping just for the sake of the movie that they don't. I mean, I think it works
Marvel is
if you
smarter
just.
than that.
Well, yeah.
I
they
don't
are.
know. Like, when you have a magic rock that can destroy all life on a planet and a talking raccoon? Is really anything contrived?
I wouldn't be
Yes.
surprised by anything, in all honesty, but
Like, only Squirrel Girl would be the most contrived thing I could think of.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
There's not a lot that would make me walk out of a movie, but I think Squirrel Girl would do it. I just don't like her.
Yeah.
Hey,
don't know
isn't Ms.
anything
Marvel
about
getting a
Squirrel
movie? Is she going to be around for this?
Yep.
Because she played a pretty big part in Civil War.
Not in Avengers 2, but she is getting her own movie in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just,
it's
I
gonna
guess,
be Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So.
I guess oh yeah, that's right. She is Captain Marvel now.
Yeah, Marvel finally
yeah.
won that legal battle.
Yeah. Ms. Marvel is now somebody else entirely, and DC's
And Shazam
Captain Marvel
is
is
Shazam.
Shazam. Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess. The part of the problem that I'm thinking is because I'm thinking Civil War, and like Civil War in my head because I'm thinking of the comic book was this huge thing where everyone was involved except the X-Men, and in the movie it's basically kind of sounding like it's going to be Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, and now Spider-Man. And I guess maybe I'm thinking like isn't that kind of taking the scope and making it a little more narrow?
Really, I think whoever is going to win is whoever gets the Hulk on their side.
Yeah, isn't that really the question at this point? Because Hulk was on another planet though, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
he on
Hulk was
planet
in
Hulk?
space.
Hulk got
Thor
into
was
space
dead.
before that.
Yeah, Hulk was in space, Thor was dead, so all the big hitters were gone, which is why Spider-Man was the guy you wanted to get. But unless you're planning to have Doctor Strange put Thor in space,
Oh, and by the way, is Doctor Strange going to be in this particular film? I mean, I'm hearing rumors about there being a Doctor Strange film. I could be out of the loop on
there
that.
is.
I think
He might get like a
Stephen
cameo scene,
Strange might
but he won't
show
be a
up,
main.
but he won't be Doctor Strange yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're obviously we have no idea what we're talking about because we're talking about Clore and Iron Spider-Man and
Well,
stuff that we
they
don't
have
know,
said
Yes,
Doctor
sorry.
Strange is not going to be an origin story, so maybe
Got
he is
that.
the supreme sorcerer guy already.
Maybe.
You know what? I think
I know they said they weren't gonna. His movie wasn't gonna be an origin story, but at the same time, like it really is kind of weird to just have him show up like, yeah, I'm this dude who does all this magic, and yeah, sorry I never helped out in New York or any of those other situations.
it wasn't important enough.
Well, that's his
No.
thing though. Like he doesn't interfere with like the Civil War and stuff because it's beneath him.
Well,
he
he was
deals
fast.
with like an alien from another dimension is going to eat the planet. Now I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Man,
Well, I mean, he was fasting during the Civil War, like
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to like the South Pole
Gandhi.
or something. He was just
Yeah.
meditating.
Well, I mean, his
Yeah.
his contribution to Civil War was that he sent Hulk to another planet, or he was in
Yeah.
the group that sent Hulk to another planet with like him and I think Hank Pym and Mr. Fantastic.
the Illuminati. So
Yeah,
it was Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Black Panther. I think it's changed a little bit, but yeah, Doctor Strange was in there.
Namor, I think, was in there.
Namor, Black Bolt.
Maybe the
Xavier
Hulk can just
was,
be
but he
somewhere
wasn't
else.
part of the meeting.
Yeah, he was missing at the time.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe just excluding him from the movie, like he's. I mean, he goes into hiding all the time anyway. So I mean, who knows where he's going to be at the end of Avengers? Because doesn't all this happen after Avengers too? After
Yeah.
Ultron?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So
I think
Yeah.
I think stuff in Ultron kind of sets it off.
probably, I would imagine.
Now they've been playing coy with the idea of sending Hulk into space. Like they haven't outright denied it, but they also haven't said that they're really thinking about a Planet Hulk movie.
Oh, I don't.
so
I don't
who
want to
knows?
see a Planet Hulk movie. I really do not want to see a Planet Hulk movie.
They've already made an
I
animated
don't know. I
movie.
just don't,
anyway.
yeah, I
I've
don't
seen
know if that's
that,
gonna
yeah.
work. I've read the comic. The comic was really good, just really long.
Well, some things work better in comic book form than they do, and
Yeah.
yeah. I guess maybe I'm really kind of wondering how the scope's going to be, or what it's going to look like. And then, so can I assume that other people are going to maybe show up in Spider-Man movies now?
I would hope so.
It's possible.
I'd say the door's open now.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you know,
Winter Soldier's
might-
got to be around, right? Because Sebastian Shaw signed like a 37 movie deal.
What?
No, he actually signed like this. It was ridiculous. He signed like a 9 movie deal as Winter Soldier. I'm like, so how many movies are they planning on using him in?
Well, I
No.
think they're planning on replacing Chris Evans when he retires from acting
Yeah,
and retires from Captain America.
right. Because I think
Obviously.
Chris
So-
Evans signed like six movie deal as Captain America, and he has outright said that. All right, so after I've done my last Captain America movie, I'm just going to retire and direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
wow,
done with
that's the
acting
plan.
completely.
Yeah, I think he'll still act again.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he'll still act even if it's just to be the equipment guy who let the air out of Tom Brady's footballs.
in the Deflategate movie of the week.
The deflate. Yeah. Anyway, that was a Jimmy Kimmel sketch where they had all like the Boston actors say like, "I let the air out of the footballs." I think it was him and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, the dude from The Office,
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski. Yeah. So anyway,
Is Mark Wahlberg in it? Because I know he's a huge Patriots fan. He
yeah.
was
No,
actually
I think he was in it too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Patriots won. So that's the important thing I want you to take away from this deal with Sony and Marvel is that the Patriots won the Super Bowl. And all you haters out there.
Now we've gone and dated the thing. Oh wait, we're dating it too.
Yeah, we're already dated. As much as I don't like dating, this is it. We have dated the podcast.
Great.
Well, to which year? 2014. What was it? 2001, 2004,
Yeah.
2010. I don't know.
I think people will figure it out when we're talking about Avengers 2.
yeah.
And
I
the
would hope
Spider-Man
so.
deal.
Yeah.
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 So there's so many more questions that nobody's going to answer because now they got to be cute and coy about it.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to start reading all of these rumors and see. I don't see how the Sinister Six is going to work. I hope they don't try to hint at these guys in the Marvel movies now. Like, what I really don't want to see is like Marvel trying to throw to Spider-Man movies just to kind of like make him a late entry. Like, well, you remember that Rhino in New York? Wink, wink. And I'm just gonna like, no.
What I don't want to see, well, I kind of do, but I don't know if they'll execute it correctly. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing them using more Marvel characters in Spider-Man movies, especially if they bring J.K. Simmons back as Jameson. That I would totally see any Spider-Man movie with Simmons
sign
as
him
Jameson.
again.
Yes,
Please sign him to
he
play
was
that
gold.
again. Oh my.
He has to be. I mean, there's no other way.
Cave Johnson is J. Jonah Jameson.
I'll be honest with
no
you
way
though.
around it.
If J. Jonah Jameson is in the rest of these Marvel movies, I would have absolutely no issue with that. If he shows up in
The
every
best-
single one
The best casting of a comic book character, period,
ever.
Yeah.
ever. More than Iron Man.
Here's the thing. Like, even Sony knew they couldn't get anyone better than J.K. Simmons because, like, Parker's only real interaction with him in the second one was through email. It's like, we want to use him, but we can't cast him, right? So, okay, he's corresponding via email.
Yeah. No, I didn't know this, but so nobody's actually has played J. Jonah Jameson in the Amazing Spider-Man movies?
Nope.
Is he even a journalist? Is
No,
that
he
it?
still runs the Daily Bugle.
He
We just don't see
He
him.
was sending pictures. He was sending pictures to Jameson, and that was why he was communicating with him.
Okay, I see.
No, I don't like that. You really
Well,
lose.
like-
I understand you can't do as good a job as J.K. Simmons, but you really lose something if you don't have him like chomping on his cigar, going like, "You get me pictures of that menace Spider-Man."
Yeah, get in here,
I know.
Parker. Like,
Well, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. It's like if you do put Jameson in there, people are going to compare him to J.K. Simmons, and that comparison will be lacking because it's not J.K. Simmons. And if you don't put him in, well, you don't put Jameson in. So either way, you're not going to please a whole lot of people.
So you got to. I mean, what is J.K.
So you gotta
Simmons
get J.K.
doing
Simmons.
right
That's
now?
basically
that
what
you
I'm
can't get
saying.
him? Is he that
J.K.
busy?
Simmons. He's in a few things.
it's those Eminem
he was
TV
busy
spots.
calling Tom Cruise a maggot in Edge of Tomorrow. He did that a few
he was in the
times.
Edge of Tomorrow. I knew he had some movie that just came out with some other little punk emo kid that I really hope doesn't play Spider-Man, but I didn't really pay attention to that.
Yeah, Whiplash.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whiplash. Like, what about the band instructor
Yes.
or band kid? Yeah, well, I heard like he was supposed to be kind of a bad guy in that. Like he was an abusive band teacher.
Yeah, I know. I didn't see it, and it wouldn't really make a good hero talk. And sadly enough, that tends to be my motivation for watching movies these days. Would this make a good hero talk? Because I can't waste good hero talk watching non-hero talk movies.
Anyway, as I was saying, like 5 minutes ago,
Go Pats.
before I got sidetracked with J.K. Simmons, go Pats. What I don't want to see is another Iron Man 2, but they're just using Spider-Man. It's like, oh hey, it's Captain Marvel, and oh hey, it's T'Challa. It's like, oh, don't do that. I'm sure they won't, but there's still that fear in the back of my mind. It's like they're going to use that just to springboard into other films like Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Oh man, I did not like Iron Man 2.
I really think that Marvel's kind of learned their lesson on like a lot of different things. And so I don't think they would do that. They might springboard like one character because that seems to be kind of what they're doing with with these other movies. Like Avengers 2 is kind of springboarding Black Panther. I think Civil War is supposed to springboard Doctor Strange.
But I think Avengers 2 is also kind of springboarding Ant-Man, isn't it?
Yes.
It's at least planting the seed for Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's like they have multiple movies that are planting the seed for other movies, and that's okay, just as long as it's not like Iron Man 2 where they're beating you over the head with the other stuff.
I guess. One of the things I would say is probably the flaw in your theory is we talk about Iron Man 2 and you say you think Marvel's learned their lesson, but we all saw Iron Man 3, so we all know they didn't.
Okay. Well, okay. Maybe I'm the only one in the chat who will say this, but I liked Iron Man 3.
Get off the chat now. You're out of hero talk.
Well, whether it was good or bad, did they do nearly as much shoehorning in other characters as 2, or was it just or is it just that it was?
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a shoehorn. It just was kind of.
I don't like it.
Iron Man 3 was actually, I'm not gonna say too much because I'm saving that for the Iron Man 3 hero talk. But Iron Man 3. did the opposite of Iron Man 2. Like, you had Avengers happen, and then Iron Man 3 was almost completely isolated. It's like, I don't know if it was written, like, maybe they were fearing Avengers was going to be a flop or something, but Iron Man 3 has almost nothing to do with the Avengers. It's just Tony Stark.
Yeah, not Iron Man, mind you, just Tony Stark.
Here's my thing on it, and I will save as much of I will save as much as I can for the Iron Man 3 Hero Talk. It was supposed to be kind of like a recovery journey for, like you said, Tony Stark. Like, he had just he did have PTSD. He just realized, oh my God, I really am just a guy in a suit. You know, we got these super soldiers, we got gods, we got monsters. Like, what the hell am I? So it was kind of
He's Iron Man. He has awesome power armor.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, I think he really started thinking of Steve Rogers' question, take that away, what are you? And he was starting to think, wow, I'm nothing.
Yeah.
Well, he's a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist also.
Right, but he also
and how's that supposed to help anyone if he gets his suits taken away?
He was in a relationship with Pepper Potts. Well, in a vacuum, not a bad thing, but played by Gwyneth Paltrow, which probably would lead anybody to depression. I don't know if I voiced that enough in the Iron Man Hero Talk. I don't like her.
So I will save the majority of my defense for this movie for the Iron Man 3 Hero Talk.
Fair enough. We kind of got off the rails and a little bit jumping the gun on some content, so that's a nice teaser for that. But and I'm gonna ask questions because you guys seem to have actually seen the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I feel like I'm a bit at a disadvantage and a little bit bitter that I'm probably now gonna have to watch these movies. Probably more than a little bit bitter, but I suppose I need... Has stuff happened in the Amazing Spider-Man series that will at least set up Spider-Man to sort of be the way he actually was in Civil War?
What do you mean?
Well, like in Civil War, like he really seemed like he was very much in the defense of, hey, you know what? We have all these powers and we're not accountable, and it weighed heavy on him. And so, spoilers for everything here, but in Civil War, one of the key turning points, one of the huge moments of Civil War was he finally unmasked himself and said, hey, I'm Peter Parker, and I'm Spider-Man, and I have been since I was 15 years old.
Honestly?
And so,
I guess... say no?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was a huge moment, and now you're introducing this character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm wondering, does he have a history where this is even something? Like, J. Jonah Jameson hasn't been introduced. He doesn't care as much, and now you're introducing him to a whole bunch of people who don't really know him, and, like, are meeting him for the first time. Are they gonna care? He's like, I'm Peter Parker, and they're like, oh, I don't know who that is.
If they're planning on doing an unmasking, I think the short answer is there's not enough meat there for it to have any gravity when he pulls it off. I'm a nobody, and my name's Peter Parker.
Yeah. He pulls his mask off, and everyone's gonna look at him and go like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like at this point, the Marvel Universe has never talked about him, so it's like, why would anybody care? Yeah. I don't know, how they're gonna.
That's the thing with Civil War. It's like in the Marvel movies, no one has a mask that people don't already know their identity.
Yeah. Ironically enough, I think one of the people who was really about keeping everybody's secret identity safe was Captain America, and everybody knows who Captain America is. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows who Iron Man is. That's not really a surprise. So who does have a secret identity?
No one.
Black Widow and Hawkeye, they're secret agents. So they're on a book somewhere. Thor is actually the literal
Black Widow.
What?
In the universe, there are actual action figures of Black Widow. So her identity, she's going to need to use that disguise thing from Winter Soldier pretty much all the time now if she wants to stay incognito.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's what it really comes down to, and that's a pretty good point. It's okay in the current Marvel universe, everybody knows who everybody is. I mean, I guess the only person who really has a secret would be the Hulk, but the government knows who he is. It's just people in general don't know who the big green guy is, and they don't care because Bruce Banner goes into hiding all the time.
They're going to have to take a different angle. It's going to have to be, we need to control. It's not going to be an accountability thing. I think it'll just be, you need to be controlled, and register and that sort of stuff.
Because it just feels like the government already knows who everybody is.
Yeah, and like secret identity was one part of the issue in Civil War. The other part of it was, like you said, Jeff, like Captain America felt they needed to be autonomous.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to So I guess my
accountable to
question
the
comes with,
leader.
so now that we're talking about that angle, and I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so maybe this has been addressed, but isn't S.H.I.E.L.D. basically not a thing anymore? Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what's going on. Like in Agents of Shield, like Coulson and company are very quickly behind the scenes fighting Hydra, but they're fugitives now.
right.
Like, I don't know
So,
if you know who Glenn Talbot is from the Hulk series, but he's the one who's been chasing them ever since
Okay.
season 2.
Oh, really? They have Glenn. I haven't seen past the first half of season 1. They have Talbot in there now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow, we are ramping up the spoilers.
hey, you know what? I said it all at the beginning, and I told
we've been
everybody.
warned.
So you are forewarned. Hero Talk is a spoiler podcast, and now more than ever. And also I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and so yeah, it was spoiled for me, and you don't see me getting upset. So you don't have any right to get upset either. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of my thought is, so if S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone, there really is no overarching government agency that deals with these superpowered heroes.
Nope.
And everybody's secret identity is kind of, out in the open, and everybody knows it. What angle is there left? Like, what is there?
Well,
There's a rumor for Iron
well,
Man.
think about
not
this.
Iron Man, Avengers, is that like Tony Stark takes over the burden of Shield on himself. That's why he makes a bunch of like autonomous robots. And one eventually becomes Ultron. That all goes downhill fast. But that's the idea, is that he takes over for a bit. Him and the Avengers.
They comment in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they say like Tony Stark advertising national security or something like that.
Huh. So you think, because
And-
I guess maybe, wasn't that a thing in Civil War, though, is like Tony Stark was running S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury went underground and actually was leading the Resistance?
I think he
Nick
took
Fury
S.H.I.E.L.D.
went
when it was
underground
over.
long before that for different reasons.
Okay.
And Maria Hill was running S.H.I.E.L.D. and she
Okay.
doesn't like superheroes all that much. Like the Maria Hill in the movies is very different from I guess you could say the first time we see Maria Hill in the comics. Sorry about my dogs.
That's all opinions are welcome on Hero Talk.
And Tony Stark gets control of Shield after Civil War.
Okay.
Like at the end of everything, like he's the one who's named head of Shield.
Right. That was right when Captain America got shot in the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spoilers, everybody.
Wow, spoilers.
It's okay. He comes back to life. It's no big deal.
Yeah. He got better.
Oh.
Yes, I guess. I guess maybe at this point, I think Civil War might very much be, and we might have just spent the last hour looking way too in depth at Civil War, when the real answer is just going to be that, oh well, we called it Civil War, but it's going to be a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, have they confirmed they're going to use the word Civil War, or
That has been
simply
confirmed. Yeah,
basis?
that was in
Yeah,
their,
it's the
their
title.
list. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
title of the
Yeah,
movie.
they like-
Captain America: Civil War.
They played a joke when they first announced it. It was like Serpent Society or something like that.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of like the whole announcement, they're like, actually no, we're calling it Civil War.
Yeah, because everyone would have recognized Civil War, and I guess they didn't want to like outshine some of the movies that were coming after it. But
Captain America:
Yeah.
Blue Harvest.
Which, if they do decide to go off the source material, I would absolutely love to see Robert Downey Jr. play like unhinged, ultra controlling Tony Stark.
mm-hmm.
Just absolutely
I can
insane
totally
Tony
see
Stark.
it.
Yeah.
Dude.
I'd love to see that.
I think that kind of plays more in character with Tony Stark, who would want to try to control everything, because now that things are going all batty, he's just decided, you know what, the only person I can trust is myself in my suit and nobody else. And then Captain America, who's maybe a little bit more libertarian, not to get too political, but he kind of like a little bit more in that direction. I'm not saying he is. Don't send me hate mail at herotalk@enthusiasts.com. But he's a little bit more in that direction. That's my little subtle to get in there. He would probably be more along the lines of like, you can't control people. Like we just had this problem, Tony. But
I
guess
destroyed 3 helicarriers for this. What are you thinking?
And then I guess in that my question comes into, so where does Spider-Man come into this, or is he just a very impressionable young kid who happens to sort of be the turning point?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do because, like you said, Captain America has already dealt with the whole control, whereas Ultron is exactly Tony Stark trying to implement that control.
Yeah. So
Yeah. It just backfires horribly.
So yeah, that's going to be a big issue in Avengers too. So Civil War, yeah, and it's kind of curious to
Which
where could they possibly be going with this?
Which also,
You know?
like, because Tony Stark builds Ultron, why in the world would the government ever trust him with anything after Ultron?
are you not familiar with the United States government? Like that's what we do in these United States of America. You screwed this thing royally up, so here's something else to control. Please don't screw it up again.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we never learn that lesson, and they never will in the movies. Like people, like control freaks, are always looking for other ways to control things, and that's exactly what Tony Stark is going to be doing.
Yeah, it's. I guess I can see where that might play out, but there's still so many questions. And the thing is we're coming up with all these great ideas that work that don't really need Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will have to justify all the work they did on this deal, and the only way to justify that is to have Spider-Man deeply integral to the story and be a co-lead type character, or
Right.
else why do all the hard yards to get that deal?
Yeah,
over
I know.
the line?
Especially if you're not doing a Spider-Man movie first. Like I could
Right.
see if they were going to be like, all right, well, let's get a Spider-Man movie out. Let's get him embedded in this universe so that he can sort of not have to be such a central part of Civil War. But if his introduction to Civil War, I mean, he almost has to be, right?
Excellent. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it already kind of established in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that there's like kind of like a Spider-Man popularity thing on in?
What?
Because I know like there was that one kid who had the Spider-Man costume.
Oh, you mean like, is Spider-Man popular? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
basically, what
that
they
might
did
be
with-
one angle they go with. It's like, okay, like maybe we've never discussed it in the MCU at this point, but it's pretty established. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is, and people love him.
Yeah, one thing they established in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I think they did better than the Nolan Batman, was how Spider-Man was kind of like a symbol for the people.
Okay.
Like one thing I loved about Amazing Spider-Man 2 was how personal he got with the people he saved. Like he went from like fighting the Rhino to helping some little kid like not being picked on by some bullies. He just like swings down as Spider-Man and the bullies all run away. And he like, actually walks the kid home. It's like he's a symbol to all these people because they like him because he is the quote unquote friendly Spider-Man.
Yeah, so that is an angle they'll probably be playing up as they work to that.
Yeah, it seems like that's the only angle they got, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and here's another question. This is out of left field, and we're kind of swerving the conversation, but I want to make sure we at least touch on some of this stuff. Do you suppose there's any chance that we're going to see anything Spider-Man related up in these Netflix movies that are coming out? Not Netflix movies, that's probably but Netflix miniseries. Yeah.
I mean Daredevil,
like Daredevil and Luke Cage and the rest of the Defenders.
I would think so. He's worked with Daredevil a lot.
Before.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit with Luke Cage. So
That's
I
who it
can
is.
imagine at least in like upcoming seasons, they'd be putting him in there.
Daredevil is Batman. He is Marvel's Batman.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We
Well,
already
except he has
discussed
powers.
this, and we've already established who Marvel's Batman was.
Yeah, I mean Daredevil actually has powers, so.
Well, so does everyone we've suggested, except for Tony Stark, who has a power armor. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, Black Panther doesn't have powers.
Yeah, he does. He ate like some kind of jungle herb that gives him like not super strength, but powers.
That was just weed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that
Sweet.
like THC that gives him those powers?
Hero Talk does
Marijuana
not
man.
endorse the use of marijuana.
We do not endorse the use of marijuana, but I am saying that I don't know. I don't know what the rules are in Wakanda. I don't know what kind of policies they have towards recreational drugs.
Well, we
and
do
I'm
know
not.
Wakanda
I am
has
not
pretty
going
crazy
to
nature.
presume that they have the same rules that we have in certain states in this country. I'm just saying he had some jungle herb. We don't know if it gave him weed or if it was just something that they liked to chew on. Sometimes maybe it was sugarcane. I don't know. I don't know what jungle herb you're talking about.
Anyway, yeah, it's possible Spider-Man might show up
Yeah.
in the Netflix things.
Oh yeah, I mean he can show up in all kinds of places in the Marvel universe. But I think just
I would like to see a Netflix Spider-Man
just because by the
series.
nature of it would really only be with people who are centered in New York.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
yeah,
Which
I
is
think
basically
so.
all of them.
I think Spider-Man
Yeah.
would work really well as a TV series, and it certainly let some of those things that we talked about earlier breathe, like a Venom storyline or stuff like that. But how do you? I mean, do you find an actor that can play both roles and will sign a contract to do
Yeah,
both?
it's
And,
hard
like,
to. Sony, I don't think wants to do a series. I think they want their movies because their movies,
Yeah.
regardless of how bad they are, just keep making money.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, people still like go. The name Spider-Man puts butts in seats.
It
Yeah.
does. I mean, how many people are going to go see Civil War now? I mean, how many times in this podcast have I referred to the movie simply as Civil War and not
Yeah.
Captain America
Not
Civil
Captain
War?
America.
It's Captain America Civil War. It's Civil War.
Yeah,
Captain America might as well not be in the title. It's just Civil War.
Yeah, I mean that's what this Spider-Man thing has done. And so, gentlemen, we could talk about this thing all night.
Please, I was calling it that before this.
Yeah, true. We could talk on this all night, but I do think that that what we have is a good for our listeners, and I think it's really only a matter of time before we whip ourselves up into such a frenzy that we can only possibly be disappointed by the actual movie itself. So that being what it is, I think we're just gonna wrap up. And guys, hey, thanks for joining me for this very special episode of Hero Talk.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Thanks.
All right, and so I normally got my thing that I say at the end of the show, but I'm not going to say it this time, because if it's a different Hero Talk, I get to sort of do whatever I want at the end. So, if you have some comments you want to leave about what you think about Spider-Man and Civil War, or if you want to tell me about why I'm wrong that Black Panther is really the Batman of the Marvel Universe, you can go ahead and send that to herotalk@enthusiasts.com. Any other hate mail, anything you want to say, you can send that to pointstreak@enthusiasts.com. I'm perfectly okay with that.
We got all day to deal with that.
Really, it's just going to get lost in the shuffle over there. But anyway, if you do want to see more of our stuff or see some of our more traditional Hero Talks, you can go to enthusiasts.com and check us out there. And you have our YouTube channel where you can see a lot of Axelon's playthroughs, and enthusiasts.com with some articles that are written there that you can check out. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Good to be
Thanks for
here.
having me.
All right, and that is it. Let's hit the outro music and be off. Joining me today, I have Jeff Baron Fang, host of the Hero Talk. No, host of the Point. I can't even get through my own intro. The other
one.
podcast. And now I have my stinger.